We're starting now, and the theme is how to build up marriage and family. Okay, this is very important topic because Satan tries to attack the church by attacking the marriage and family of the churches. Many Christians have problem in the marriage and family, and even pastors, because one big issue is that there is a difference between male and female, and many people don't many people don't know it, and so they encounter different kinds of problem. Okay, and then common problems in family. The general difference between male and female: male are generally interested in action, and female are interested in family and relationship and talking about their feelings. If they have any feeling, they want to talk about it. And men generally don't want to talk about their feelings. And women have to talk about their feelings. When they have feelings, they really want to. And they have to learn before they can love. It's harder for men to love, to be concerned about other people, to care about other people. So many people, they need to learn in order to love. And then female generally are more willing to love, and then they want to be loved. So they generally love their family members more, and they also want to be loved. And then for men, the desire to be loved is not as strong. And if a man is not loved as much, he might not complain about it. But if a woman is not loved much, she would complain about it. She will be very unhappy about it. And male, they forget the family responsibilities easily. Their emphasis is not in the family generally. And then the female has strong responsibility toward the family. And then male don't want to be next, and then female next easily. Okay, and then people hurt each other easily in families because they don't have much love. Because for the male generally they don't have a heart to love the spouse that much. They don't have a heart to love the family that much. So they need to learn it. And even for female, very often they want to be loved more than they want to love. They want to be careful. And so now many people, when they think of marriage, they think of finding someone that is they like, someone they like, instead of finding someone that they can love. Generally, people don't think of finding someone they can love. Okay. Now I notice some people are watching me at Pastor Yip. Please go to the account of Global Fire Missions, where the quality is much better. So please go to the Global Fire Missions Ministries. There is much better. The quality is much better. Okay, and then in many families there's a lot of yelling and criticism and nagging, and they don't communicate or listen to each other much, and don't appreciate each other, and take things for granted, and neglect each other, and get emotional and get angry or depressed. They will yell at each other and criticize, and then become very unhappy and force people to change or do things. And then sometimes they want the other person to disappear. So it happens in many families that they lose the interest in the family. And then people follow the sinful nature easily. They react to people the way they treat us. So when they're yelled at, then they will yell back, and they just want to get what people just want to get what we want to get. So they want to get attention, they want to get help, they want to get care instead of giving care and love and acceptance and self-centered, and don't think of the feelings and needs of the other person. They think of, the male would say, talk to the wife and say, you have to listen to me, you have to do what I want. And then the female say, you have to listen to me, you need to talk to me. And then they don't think of the other person feeling. And then a woman also nag easily. And then the man gets very frustrated. And then he yells at the wife, and then he doesn't care about the feeling of the wife. And then follow the internal impulses. They follow their own impulse to be angry or unhappy. So what happened is, when there is no communication in a marriage, first is no love, no communication, and then they criticize and nag and yell and get disgusted with each other and avoid responsibility, and then they could end up with extramarital affair and divorce. So that could happen to many marriages. And then parents and children problems. The children affected by the world, and there is no communication at home. They yell at each other, and then the children become rebellious, and there is mutual enmity, and the children become problematic relationship with the children. And then the problems affect the whole person. So the problematic relationship in the family affect the financial problem, affect children problem and emotional problem, and no strength, and then spiritually become low and could end up in breaking down. Okay, God wants to heal our lives. Now I want to go back to this first part about difference between male and female, which is very important. I want to expound on it more, that very often, God created men and women differently. He created men with the intention to work and do things. Man has a stronger motivation to work and do things and accomplish things. And women have a stronger tendency. They want to be loved, they want to love, and they want to care about the family member, and then they want to be listened to, and they want to have better communication. So female generally want more communication and want care from the family members. And when they don't get it, they get frustrated, they get unhappy, and they will complain and nag. Now, generally, men, I have to say this, when they date, they are very interested in the person they date. They're more interested. And then they would talk, and they would spend time with the girlfriend because they want to win this woman or this girl, because he wants to draw his attention. And then he would listen, he would talk, and he would spend time with the girlfriend. But then after marriage, or after the girl or woman is committed to him, then he will lose interest, because very often men sees dating as a task. They see dating as something they want to do so that they can get a girlfriend and in the future get a wife. And so they see it as a task. When a task is done, then the man would lose interest. He would lose interest to spend much time. He would say, well, you understand me, you know me, and I know you, so we don't have this waste much time talking. So very often they see that as wasting time when they spend time talking. But then the woman look at marriage, dating and marriage as a relationship. She enjoys the relationship. She wants the relationship. She wants the boyfriend and the husband to talk to her and listen to her and care about her. And the man, after he gets the girlfriend, he thinks everything is done. So he would start to spend less time on the girlfriend, and he would just do his task. And then when he spent time with a girlfriend, he would just, generally just have very little communication, and he doesn't think there is a need to talk too much. And then when the woman is unhappy, he doesn't want to listen. He would just say, you don't have to talk so much. Don't worry about it. Don't take the problem seriously. So generally, he would discourage the woman. If the woman talks too much, then he would say, don't talk too much. Just, don't worry about those things. So they lose interest in communication, especially after marriage. After marriage, very often, the wife wants to know what happens to the man, and the man has no little interest to talk about himself and talk about what he is doing. He thinks, I already have a lot of pressure in my work. I have to pay attention to my work, and I don't want to talk about it. So they have a tendency not to talk about their feelings. And then when the wife wants to talk about the feelings, he would say, you don't have to talk so much about your feelings. Don't worry about it. Don't be unhappy. Just, relax and forget about the problem. So very often they would say, forget about the problem, instead of listening to the wife. And then when the wife has more and more pressure, that when she's unhappy, for instance, in taking care of the family, taking care of the children, taking care of the food and problems in the family, she wants to talk about it with the man. But the man has little interest. He would just say, it's no problem, you just fix it. So then there is a lack of communication, a lack of care. The man very often may not listen to her and care about what happens to her workload, what happens to the family, the children. They might not pay much attention. And so what happened is, there is a basic difference between man and female. Now, before Adam and Eve committed sin, they have no problem. They would love each other. They would care about each other. It's only after man sinned, and then they lose the interest to love other people. They have, they can get frustrated and unhappy, and then they don't care about the feeling and the needs of the other person. And so that has the problem. But, God created men and women differently, and when they have no sin, then there's no problem. But after man sin, then there will be problems. Then they have problem relating to each other, caring for each other, and loving each other. So that's the problem in many families, because the difference between male and female, and then for many men, they don't understand the woman. Why are you unhappy about so many things? And because the woman is unhappy about the relationship, about the communication. And also, when a man tries to comfort the woman, generally he would say, don't worry about it, don't think about it, it's no problem. Now what they say, it doesn't comfort the woman at all. The woman wants the husband to say, oh, I know you have a heavy workload. I know you are under pressure. I know you have a lot to do, and I appreciate what you do. So this caring about the feeling is very important. Caring about what the wife is going through is very important. But many men have not learned this. Many men just say, don't do this, don't do that. And those things, the wife doesn't want to listen. Doesn't want to hear. And then the man said, it's hard for me to please my wife. Whatever I say is wrong, because he doesn't care about the feeling. And so whatever he says, according to him, is logical. According to him, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about what someone says said to the wife. Someone says something negative to the wife, and then the wife is very unhappy, and she wants to tell the husband. And the husband said, don't worry, forget about it, don't think about it. And then for a woman, it's harder to do that. So if the husband says, I know you are unhappy because of what he said, and so it's hard for you to handle that, and I care about you, and I know that it's hurting you. So the wife wants the husband to feel her feeling and feel her difficulty. And so this creates problem. And then as time goes on, when time goes on, and then there is little communication and little care, and then the wife become more and more dissatisfied with the husband, and then he would nag more. And then also because the husband very often would neglect many things in the family. They might neglect to take care of the laundry, or to do things at home, all the chores at home, and how to keep things clean. And the husband generally don't pay attention to those things, and the wife generally pay attention to those things. So the wife is complaining to the husband and said, why don't you put your clothing in the right place? Why do you make a mess? And then the husband becomes very unhappy. Why do you pay attention to those things? Because generally, men before the marriage, they are not as tidy. The room is not tidy. But after marriage, the wife wants the husband to be tidy and neat, keep things in the right place. And the husband is not happy about that, because God created in woman a sense of responsibility for the family. She wants the family to be orderly and clean and things in order. And then she will feel comfortable and happy in the family, in the home. She wants to feel comfort in the home. And then for the men, they are still like unmarried men, that he just wants to be free and don't worry about little things. The chores at home is not important. So those are the source of conflict too. And so gradually, the husband would say, oh, my wife, before marriage, she was so happy and always smiling, laughing, playing with me. But now after marriage, she's always complaining about things. She wants me to listen to her. She talks for a long time, and she nags a lot. And so the husband becomes unhappy with the wife. And then the wife is unhappy with the husband. She said, my husband doesn't listen to me, doesn't care about me, and he messes things up, and he doesn't take care of things. And so both sides become unhappy. And when it becomes worse and worse, the husband finds that if he talks to some other woman outside of the home, these women generally are very happy because they don't see the daily life of the man. So when a man come across someone in church or outside the church, he would say, those women, they talk to me happily like the wife before marriage. Because before marriage, the wife doesn't have the responsibilities. And then she will not be so unhappy about many things. She did not have much expectation. But after marriage, she would have more expectation. And then the woman, not the wife, but other women, generally, they don't have that pressure. So they would relate to the man in a very free and happy way. And so the man would like that more. And so there's a tendency to have extramarital affair. First, emotionally, that the man would say, I like to talk to some other women. It's more fun to talk with them. And they don't nag me. They're not unhappy. And so the man would lose interest in the wife. They didn't understand that when they listen to the wife and care about the wife's feeling and listen to her and care about her, and then she will become happy and the family can become happy. And also, it's true that many people tend to be negative. So the wife can be negative about things and complain about the man and despises despise the man, and then it causes more and more problem because men want to be respected in the family. And sometimes when a wife sees the problem sees the problem with the husband, she would despise the man, and that causes the man to be unhappy, and then the family becomes a place of unhappiness, of struggle, criticism, instead of a place of love and enjoyment and happiness. So the one big problem is because the difference of the sexes. So when we understand this, and then we want to work on it. So when a marriage have those problems, then it would, that the marriage would have more and more problem. And God wants to heal our lives. God wants to heal our marriage, and God wants to do inner healing. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because the Lord has anointed me to preach good news, and He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted. He wants the family to be healed. And then if there is problem in the family, there need to be healing in the family. Okay, and how not to be affected by family members. First, we understand the difference between the male and female, and then we want to learn not to be affected by the sinfulness of the other person in the family, and how to be kind and nice to them. Because in the family, very often in many families, many people have not learned to be positive and encouraging. Many people have the habit of being critical and unhappy and nagging, or not talking to each other, and all these are problems. And these problems are caused by the sinfulness of people. So in the family, there's a lot of manifestation of the sin, because the sins become much more obvious in the family than in the church. Now, in the church, still people can see the sins of each other, but in the family, because they see each other daily, so they see the sins of each other. They see the shortcomings of each other very, very regularly. In Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So, because all people have sins. Now, when the husband start to see that the wife demands a lot, want more communication and want care, and then there is a sinful part of the man is he gets impatient. That is a sin. He gets impatient with the wife. He doesn't want to give much time to the wife. He doesn't want to care about the wife. And then he would have negative feelings. And then the wife would have sins also. She would be negative and critical and complaining about the man who doesn't communicate and listen to her and doesn't care about her. And then she would have frustration and anger. So the first thing we want to handle the problem of family is to accept that we all have sins. Men have sins. Men have the sins of not loving and not caring enough and not listening and getting impatient with the wife and the family and not building up the family. And then the women have the sin of being emotional easily and complaining easily and being critical easily. So the first thing we need to accept that, yes, I have sins and the other person has sins. So it's natural for the other person to respond negatively when there are problems. So we don't emphasize the problems of the other person, but we say, I accept that the other person can get frustrated. The other person can get unhappy, and the other person can lose his care and love. And how can I lead the other person to have more love? But instead of getting frustrated with the other person, very often people get frustrated and they complain about the other person. Okay, and then so we need to learn to take care of our personal problems. God wants to bless the family, so we want to accept the shortcoming of the other person, and also we want to take take care of our own personal problems. Psalm 37:7, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. To fret means to be unhappy, to be angry, to feel, to have bad feelings. So wait patiently and not to have bad feelings, not to be angry, not to be frustrated with the other person even when the other person has done something wrong. Now, for many people, this is very difficult. It's very difficult. When the other person complains, they naturally want to be angry. But we want to have peace in the Lord, that even when the other person is angry, we say, it's normal for the other person to be angry because I have not done my part well. And the other person might have a problem of emotions. Sometimes many people have emotional problems. So when they have all this emotional problem from the childhood, so many people before they get married, they didn't know that they themselves and their spouse might have hurt feelings from the past. And this hurt feeling caused them to be emotional. So it's better to have marriage counseling before marriage so that they will talk to each other and try to build up each other's to bring healing to the other person, to bring care and love and help the other person to change, to find out if the other person is suitable for marriage. Many people get married and they're not suitable for marriage. What I mean is, because of the past experience, they get hurt easily. They get emotional easily. They get unhappy easily. And they criticize easily. Many people are like that. So that needs healing. And we need to take care of the problems in the past before we get married. And if they have already get married, then they can only try to bring more healing to their life. So here, God has planned great blessings for us. No one can take away his blessings except ourselves. So even if the other person is unhappy, I don't have to take it seriously. I can be kind to the person. But many people, they say, why should I be kind to the other person when he or she is critical? When he is critical, how can I be peaceful? But when we're not peaceful, then the relationship will be ruined more and more. But if we say, okay, I accept the other person has problem, I will be peaceful when I handle the problem. I'll try to be kind. I try to be nice to correct the situation and to bring healing to the other person, to build up the relationship. So in many marriage already, they are suffering. They are suffering already because of lack of communication, lack of love, because of criticism and nagging, because of irresponsibility in the family, and these are some common source of problems. So if we are peaceful in the Lord and we say, okay, if we have problem, I accept the other person could have emotions and I accept that I can make mistakes. And then I will try to handle the problem with peace. So we need the peace from God. Because if we build up the marriage, we will be blessed. My motivation to build up my marriage is, if I have problems in a marriage, I won't be able to serve God with joy and peace and freedom. If I have problem in the family, then it would affect my ministry. I won't be free and I won't be joyful. But if I take care of my problems in my family and build up my marriage so that I really love my wife and listen to her, and my wife loves me and listen to me, and we care for each other and help each other and build up each other, then we can enjoy each other and then we can do ministry together. And so that's my motivation. I want no opening for the devil to attack my family and ministry. So very important to accept the sinfulness of the other person and accept our sinfulness and be peaceful when we handle the problem, when we try to bring healing to the other person. Now, sometimes in the family, there could be one person who is wicked, especially if the person is not a Christian. Or if he is a Christian, but he has such strong anger, then we have to say it is the problem. If I'm affected by him, then I'll lose God's blessing. So I don't want to be affected by him. I want to be kind to him in order to bring peace to the family. If he doesn't change, I still love him and care about him and help him. I still want to bless him and help him so that he will, we can build up the marriage. So for those who are listening now, I don't know your condition, the condition of your marriage. Is it quite good, or does it have problem, or does it have even serious problems? Now, if it has serious problem, we have to find out the source, the reason of the serious problem. We need to understand our spouse, understand the needs of our spouse, and how to satisfy our spouse. Now, some people say, why should I satisfy her or him? Because when people are not satisfied in a marriage, if they don't get love and care and good relationship and good communication, then they will feel unhappy. We should be satisfied in our life with relationship with God, that we are blessed with peace and love. And we should be blessed also in our marriage. The marriage should bring joy and peace and love. So if there are problems in the family, then the one person is not satisfied. He will complain and there will be problems. There will be more and more problems. So I hope that we understand that if we have frustration, if we handle this problem with frustration, there will be more and more problems. But if we handle the problems peacefully and accept any problems of our spouse, then we won't be affected by the spouse that much. Okay, and then warning to people, let me see. Okay, warning to people who don't take care of their personal problems. If we don't take care of our personal problem, don't take care of the family problems, what happens is, James 1:19, so then my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So if in a marriage, if we don't listen, we should be swift to hear, to listen to the other person, and slow to speak. We should not speak too much. We should think before we speak, and slow to wrath, not to have anger. For the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God, because if we are angry easily, it doesn't produce the righteousness of God. It will produce problems. And God blesses everyone who seeks God's righteousness. If we seek God's righteousness, then God blesses us. And if people get angry and hurt other people, they are not seeking God's righteousness, and they will lose God's blessings. So if people get angry easily, they hurt the family, and they are not living in righteousness. So the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. It doesn't produce righteousness. And the meek shall inherit the earth. So the meek, the person who are humble and peaceful, they will inherit the earth. They will inherit authority in the earth. They will inherit blessings on the earth. So we want to take care of our anger. If someone is very angry, if someone is angry easily, if he takes offense easily, if the person gives some suggestion or complaint, and then this person gets angry easily, then it's a problem. Then his breath doesn't produce the righteousness of God. And what people say just stay in the air for 1 second. So in a family, if their person says something negative, it will only stay in the air for 1 second. So we don't have to take it seriously. Now, but this is very hard for many people to do. For instance, if someone says, I don't like you. Why did you do things like that? And then we get unhappy because of that. But then we don't have to take it seriously because the other person is not always right. Or we have done something wrong. We need to admit our fault. And if we haven't done anything wrong, if the person complains, we don't have to take it seriously. But most people would say, he's hurting me, so I have to take it seriously, I have to be angry. But we don't have to. If we take the negative words of people, then we become like a garbage can. Do you want to become a large garbage can? That all the garbage is dumped into there. That many people are living garbage can. They have all the complaints, negative feelings, negative words, all stored up inside them. And then what happens? They will be unhappy. They will say, he hurts me, I'm very unhappy. And they would be suffering. But we can say, what they say, if it's from the sinful nature, we don't have to take it. It just stay in the air for 1 split second. We don't have to take it. So we don't have to take the negative words seriously. And God will bless me when I obey Him and be nice to the other person. Clear the negative words from our mind and fill ourselves with God's word. So here, what I just talked about is how to handle problems in the home and clear all garbage from people and ourselves. So how people hurt us and criticize us, how they hurt us and criticize us, we don't have to take it seriously. How we dislike and despise ourselves. Sometimes we dislike ourselves and look down upon ourselves. It's our own garbage. Now, we all have our own garbage. Inside us, we might be unhappy with ourselves. Oh, I did something wrong. I'm not happy with myself. I don't like myself. I don't like my spouse. So all these negative feelings are garbage. We have to clear those. And how we criticize ourselves and have no hope, that if we say, oh, I made a mistake again and I made my wife unhappy. I always say something wrong, and then we criticize ourselves. If we have done something wrong, we should ask God to forgive us and ask our spouse to forgive us, and then forget it and try to build up our relationship. Okay, the 5 steps to victory. How to take care of the negative feelings from the family. Be aware of how we are affected by people. Believe that when we are affected by people, it's destructive. And apply biblical principle. What does the Bible tell me to do? And pray to have forgiveness and strength. And then choose to obey God. So if I find that I'm affected by their person, then I'm aware. And I know that being affected by their person is destructive. So I ask God, what does the Bible tell me to do? The Bible tells me to say that if God is for us, I don't have to be afraid. What can man do to me? It doesn't matter what they do to me. I don't have to take it seriously. And then I pray for forgiveness and strength, and I choose not to be affected by their person. And then if I notice I have not much care for the other person, then I'm aware of it and I know that it's destructive. And what does the Bible say? Love your wife as Christ loves the church. And then pray for forgiveness and strength, and I choose to love my wife. So it's very important that we choose to love our spouse. Now, I choose to love my wife. I want her to feel loved. I want her to be cared for. I want her to be happy with me. Whenever she sees me, that's her happy time. That's true. Family time can be a happy time when we bless each other. Whenever she comes home, she's always happy to see me, and I'm happy to see her. I want to make her feel happy, and I want to help her clear all the unhappy feelings she might have from her work or from whatever source it is. I want to bring her comfort. So 5 steps to victory. And then how to bring healing to the marriage. How to build up a good marriage. Only love can heal a relationship. 1 Peter 4:8. And above all things, have fervent love for one another, for love will cover a multitude of sins. So we pray to God and say, Lord, help me to love. Help me to care and listen and feel the feelings. So if the spouse says, I'm unhappy, we can find out what caused her to be unhappy. And then we'll say, oh, I know you are not feeling happy. I know it's hard for you. I know it's difficult for you. So this accepting the feeling. Now we'll talk more about that in counseling, in the training of counseling. That we want to say, yes, I know that it's difficult for you. I know that it causes you to be unhappy. And I feel your pain. So we accept the feelings and then we care about them. Whatever happens to them, we care about them. So we can massage each other and do things that make the other person feel loved. Whenever we can, whatever we can do. That I always want to do things that my wife feels loved. I would massage her. I would do things that she likes me to do, and I will care about her problems, what she's facing, so she feel cared for by me. So I hope we all can love one another and willing to admit our faults and say sorry. So James 5:16, confess your trespasses to one another. So sorry I did something wrong. And willing to forgive. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Matthew 6:14-15. Understand that people hurt others because they have been hurt by others. So your spouse might have hurt you because they have been hurt by other people. So we understand that any person who hurt other people, they have been hurt by others. So we have compassion on them and be willing to bless them and forgive them. So we want to have compassion on them, care about them, and forgive them. And keep managing our hearts until we can step by step forgive them. So if we have problem forgiving them, we'll say, Lord, help me to think about their hurts. They have been hurt by other people, so they hurt me. So I want to care about them and love them. And say words of grace to people more. So this is about communication. First, words of grace are words, positive words, like what God tells us, that He loves us, He cares about us. So we can say things like, I care about you, I love you. And we really do care about our spouse. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you've done. You are precious to me. And thank you. You are helpful. You are, thank you for doing everything. And you are helpful to me. And you have done well. You are great. So saying you are great, you're doing something great. And you have tried very hard. You have put in efforts. And I noticed your improvement. And you have impacted my life. You have done good things in my life. And you have many gifts and many strengths. And God likes you. And God will use you greatly. And I like you. So those are words of grace. And then we need to say words of the law gently at home. So first we can explore and guide. For instance, this is exploration. How can we solve this problem? So this asking question, how can we solve this problem? How can we communicate better? So you can talk to your spouse, how can we communicate better? That's exploring. It's like we don't know the answer. Let's try to find the answer. How can we have better communication? How we can listen to each other more? Do you think our relationship can improve? And then do you want to have better communication with me? So this is guiding the other person. Guiding means I have something I like the other person to do. I guide the person. Do you want to have better communication with me? what do you think better communication is helpful to the marriage? That's guiding the other person. Exploring is together we find out what are the possible ways. What are some ways we can improve our relationship? So it's like we don't know the answer, but we explore together. Guiding is when we know some solutions and we try to guide the other person to think of the right solution. So exploring is like, how can we improve the relationship? How can we communicate better? And guiding is like, wouldn't it be better if we listen to each other, that we're more peaceful when we talk to each other? And I like very much that you would listen to me, and I like very much that you would tell me more about your feelings. So those are guiding and expressing what we want. And teaching, sometimes we need to teach. Isn't it better we can talk positively? So this is saying to the person to talk positively, but it's better to say in a gentle way. Isn't it better that we can talk positively? Can we appreciate each other? So using questions is better. Can we appreciate each other better, more? And then also we ourselves need to appreciate the other person. And requesting. So would you help me wash the dishes? I really appreciate you would help me. So requesting is asking. And sometimes it could be telling. Would you like me to, would you please do this? Would you please do that? And in the family, people like to say, just clear the garbage, do this, wash the dishes. That's fine, but it's better sometimes that we're more polite and say, would you wash the dishes for me? I will be very happy. Now, I wash dishes every day. I don't know about men in Africa. Do you wash dishes? Do you think that's only the woman's work? Rebuking. Now, when the other person has done something wrong, sometimes we need to rebuke. When you talk like that, how do you think the people would feel? So we can ask the person, guide the person to realize his faults. What do you think I would feel when you talk to me like that? When you said that, how do I feel? How would the children feel? Okay, and this is how to motivate one spouse to change by God's grace. This is motivate the spouse to change. God is happy whenever we love each other. God is happy. So to motivate the spouse to love, we say, God is very happy when we love each other. God is very happy when we care for each other. God is very happy when we communicate more. So using God is happy to motivate us to do different things. Or we can say, I'm very happy if we can have some time to communicate. And God always listens to our prayer. So we motivate our spouse to pray. Instead of saying pray, we can say God likes to listen to our prayer. So this is the teaching of motivating people to obey God by God's grace. So we can pray together with confidence. So God listens to us, so we can pray with confidence. He will listen to us. God knows your needs before you pray. So He knows your needs. When you pray, He will listen to you. When we love each other and love God, He will raise us to a higher level. So when we love God, He will love each other. He will raise us up to a high level that will bless our marriage, bless our life. When we resolve our problems gently, God is very happy and will reward us richly. So if we resolve a problem, God is happy. He will bless us. So using God's grace to motivate each other. God will be very happy when we can share the chores together at home, when we can care for each other, when we can communicate with each other. We have ground for improvement when we love each other and love God. So then we have improvement. We will have improvement when we love each other and love God. Okay, and then guide the spouse and the children to change with God's grace. I would like to have a better communication with you. So do you think we can have a better communication? So we can say this to the spouse. Do you want to have a better communication. How can we have a better communication? Imagine how it will be when we have a better relationship. And how can we have a better relationship? I like it very much when you help me. So we guide them to change. Don't remind people of their bad behavior. Don't accuse them in order to change them. Give them positive reinforcement. So don't accuse. Accusation is hurtful. Accusation is not helpful. But we can guide them and appreciate them when they do it. And sincerely love and do good to people. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, hoping for nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for He is kind to the unthankful and evil. So when we love our enemies, even when the spouse is not nice to us, when the children are not nice to us, we do good to them, and we are kind to them, and then God will bless us. And submit and love one another. So wives, now first is submit to one another before this passage says, wives, submit to your own husband. Now very often, very many husbands force the wife to submit to them. But actually before that verse, in verse 21, submitting to one another in the fear of God. So the husband should also submit to the wife. How? How does the husband submit to the wife? When the wife says, I like you to talk to me, I like you to listen to me, then the husband should submit and say, I see, yeah, I'm happy to do that. So that's submitting to the requests and the needs of the wife. So we want to submit to one another. And then the wife mainly is learn to submit to the husband and not to despise the husband. And husband, love your wife just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. So when we love the wife, we are loving our own body. And relationship is much more important than matter. Relationship is much more important. So if we have a good relationship with a spouse, it's much more beneficial. Matter means like cleaning the house, doing things, and getting what we want is not most important, but the relationship is more important. So we want to not to pay attention to the problems in a relationship, but to build up the relationship. And the language of love, this is very helpful to build up marriage. Now these are 5 languages. They're not necessarily spoken language. These are different kinds of action. First is words of affirmation. For instance, I love you, you are precious and important to me. What you did to me is wonderful, I'm happy to have you. So say things very that makes the other person feel happy and is positive. I love you, I like you, you're so precious to me. I say to my wife very often, you are the greatest gift God has given me. And I'm happy to have you. And I'm blessed to have you. And you are great. You know, I told her all the time. And then quality time together. Concentrated in relationship. No cell phone or TV. That we spend time with the spouse and listen to her and care about her and take care of problems in the home and build up the relationship. Do you have time with your spouse? Do you just eat with the spouse and then nothing else? Spend some time, take a walk. Spend some time in talking and making her feel loved. And giving gifts with a heart to bless the spouse does not have to be expensive. It can be any gift, any small gift that we want to give and make the other person feel happy. And acts of service, helping in small and big things. Anything the other person needs to help, we will do. Now, for instance, when we enter the home, I always get the slippers for my wife. And I want to, whatever she wants to do, if possible, I would try to get the things ready for her to help her. And if she carries something, I'll carry for her. So I try to do things for her as a service. And physical touch, touching, hugging, kissing, and it can be daily, that we touch and pat on each other and hug each other to encourage each other. So these are 5 languages of love, and each person prefer certain action more, prefer to receive certain action more. Generally, women treasure quality time and words of affirmation more. Generally, they treasure the quality time of the husband. If the husband just talk with her and listen to her and respond to her, she'll be very happy. And say words of affirmation, words that are encouraging and loving. And then for most men, physical touch is the way they prefer, that the wife touches him and hugs him and kisses him, he will feel loved. So each person might be different. So you can do this exercise with your wife, that you write down what you want most. What you want most, that's number 1. You put down, number 1, I want, if maybe you put down physical touch. And then second, what do you want most? And then you write down. And then you write for your wife. You will say, what would my wife want most? And then you write for her. From your memory, what would your wife want most? And then your wife would also write for her what she wants most, and then what she thinks you want most. And then you match, see if they match. So this is something you do, and then you talk about it. So it's something we need to do, we can do to build up the marriage, and also we can build up with the children also, how to build up the relationship with the children. And the love bank is like, you go to the bank, to the ATM machine. If you deposit love and care and help and listening and support, then you get love and care and help and listening and support. If you don't, then you don't get much back. And then if, some people always say, you have to do this to me, why didn't you do this to me? Instead, we should put in more, and then we can get more out of the relationship. So love and satisfy your spouse. Proverbs 5:18. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of your youth. So let her be blessed, and rejoice with her, so that she is happy. Now look at this picture here. That in some weddings, the husband washed the feet of the wife, and the wife would wash the feet of the husband, as a gesture of serving each other.